Defensive passer rating. Simply explain what it is, Kerry.
Simply, we take the formula for quarterbacks, the passer rating formula for quarterbacks, Butch, and we apply it to pass defense. And the reason we do it is because it has an incredible correlation of success throughout all of football history. We don't care how many yards you give up or how few yards you give up. If that passer rating number is not great on defense, you're not going to have a lot of success. And we just see that year after year after year, that great teams and great defenses have a great defensive passer rating. We argue, and we don't argue, I think it's fact, that it's the most important defensive stat in football, other than points allowed. And, the name of the game is scoring points and shutting down opponents. And other than that, the best way to track how good your defense is doing is with defensive passer rating.
Defensive passer rating, and you look at the top 5 this year. I mean, again, think of the quarterback rating, folks. You always hear a guy come out with 100 or a 98 or whatever when he has a good job as a quarterback. The Jets are the best in the league this year at 60.5. There's the top 5. And look at the bottom number there, Kerry. The winning percentage, 676 for your top 5 teams that have the best defensive quarterback. That tells the story right there.
No, exactly. And, just think, and the problem with the Jets, of course, is they don't have a great quarterback. If you had paired a great quarterback, just take, for example, a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers with that Jets defense, they'd be undefeated right now. I know for a fact they would be undefeated. A great quarterback with that great defense, you're talking great success. And the Packers this year, maybe they're not in the top 5 in defensive passer rating. They were number 1 last year, of course, and won the Super Bowl. But their offense has been so good. They're number 1 in what we call passer rating differential, and defensive passer rating is part of that. You win the NFL is all about winning those passing wars and not volume, not how many yards. It's all about passing efficiency on both sides of the ball, and defensive pass rating is just a great way to measure that.
The Houston Texans at number 4. Now, these are the same Houston Texans who last year couldn't stop anybody and needed to score 35 points a game just to compete. Yep. They're the 4th rated defensive passer rating team. That paints a pretty interesting picture when you're starting to think about the second half of the season.
Yeah, actually they're 3rd, Butch. They're 3rd this week. With the 65.9 defensive pass rating. What happened in the offseason is they hired Wade Phillips as a defensive coordinator, right? And last year, Houston had a 100.5 defensive passer rating last year. Everyone knows they had all these great styles on offense, right? Andre Johnson, Matt Shaw's been a very effective quarterback. Arian Foster was the best running back in the NFL. But they went 6-10. And why did they go 6-10? Because they could not stop anybody in the passing game. Not only, 100.5 defensive pass rating, one of the 10 worst pass defenses in the history of football. Granted, that's a little unfair to say because the passer rating numbers are so much higher today than they were in the past. But still, historically in that pass defense, that's why they went 6-10. Well, they bring in Wade Phillips. He's not had a lot of success as a head coach, but as a defensive coordinator, he's been very good. And already we're looking at a 35-point improvement in that defensive passer rating for the Texans right now. They've allowed 9 touchdowns, but they have 10 interceptions. They're only giving up 6.2 yards per attempt. Teams are completing barely more than 50% of their passes against them this year. And I think last year it was something like 66%. So, in this day and age, and when opponents are only completing about half their passes, that's incredible by the standards of the modern NFL. And that's the reason right now that Houston, they're not perfect right now. They've had some struggles. But they're a team you really have to look at if they can get their act together on both, especially offensively. That's a team you have to watch out for. That's a dark horse with a great passing attack, a great offense. If they can put it all together, that's a team you really have to watch out for come playoff time.